welcome to Saturday Night Stories. Today I am reading a request, and the request is from one of my favorite ASMR people ever. Her name is Amandine. Her whisper name is Amandine Lelupe ASMR. She's awesome, and she's given me 3 choices of things I can read from. She gave me the Divine Comedy. I can't remember the middle one, and then she said anything by Jack London, of course. And I decided to go for the Divine Comedy because I haven't read it before, and I am excited to. I'm very excited to. Today we are going to do a beer, and it's a special one, of course, because I'm doing Amandine's request, and why not? So it is the werewolf beer. I felt like that was kind of appropriate. She calls me her wolf friend, and so let's have a wolf beer, why not? I have an opener somewhere here, right here, actually, sitting on my legs. What a surprise. I'm gonna be careful when I'm opening this one because I don't have this bottle cap, and I am still collecting bottle caps. So if you have some sweet bottle caps and you want to send them to me, you can find my P.O. box address anywhere on my channel. So here's this one. And I have this frozen mug. It's just solid glass, but we put them in the freezer here. So why not? So here's the werewolf beer. You can smell it from all the way over there already. It's very potent in smell. It has like a banana aroma to it. It's very good. Just wanted to quickly read the bottle because I don't even know what kind it is. Brewery Rinkuska I was established in the year 1991 in the Birtsai region known as Beer Country in Lithuania. My grandmother is from Lithuania. It is the result of old traditions of beer country, experience of the past generations, and innovations of modern day. That makes this beer one of the most exclusive in Lithuania. Werewolf has an attractive dark color, slightly sweet, rich taste of malt, and slight aroma of hops. Want to drink more? Oh yes, and be aware that Werewolf is based on the old recipe of one of the Birtsai beers. And it is very good. I don't know what it would be classified as, though. It has an 8.2% volume of alcohol. And it's got a great little howling werewolf, as opposed to what it really is, on there. And I'm also wearing my bro hug Adventure Time singlet for today. So she asked me to read, like I said, 3 things. I chose the Divine Comedy. Because I've never read any of it before. And so I have it on my iPad. And we'll get back to regular books soon. Some of them are more cost effective to buy if they're like $2 or something on my iPad, over trying to get them here. Okay, so I apologize in advance if I butcher any of the language. And I think I'm just gonna start at the beginning and just read through until we run out of time here, because I don't really think that there's a specific spot where I should just start and it would make sense to start. So let's start at the beginning, why don't we? Inferno, Canto 1. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Ah me, how hard a thing it is to say what this forest, savage, rough, and stern, which in the very thoughts renews the fear. So bitter is it, death is little more, but of the good to treat, which there I found. Speak will I of the other things I saw there. I cannot well represent how there I entered, so full was I of slumber at the moment in which I had abandoned the true way. But after I had reached a mountain's foot, at the point where the valley terminated, which had with consternation pierced my heart, upward I looked and beheld its shoulders vested already with that planet's rays, which leadeth others bright by every road. Then was the fear a little quieted, that in my heart's lake had endured throughout the night which I had passed so piteously. And even as he who, with distressful breath, forth issued from the sea upon the shore, turns to the water perilous and gazes, so did my soul, that was still fleeing onward, turn itself back to re-behold the pass, which never yet a person left. After my weary body I had rested, the way resumed I on the desert slope, so that the firm foot was after the lower. And lo, almost where the ascent began, a panther light, swift and exceedingly, which was a spotted skin, was covered over. And never moved she from before my face, nay, rather did impede so much my way, that many times I, to return, had turned. The time was the beginning of the morning, and up the sun was mounting with those stars, that with him were, what time the love divine. At first in motion set those beauteous things, so were to me occasion of good hope, the variegated skin of that wild beast. The hour of time in the delicious season, but not so much that did not give me fear, a lion's aspect which appeared to me. He seemed as if against me he were coming, with head up lifted, and with ravenous hunger, so that it seemed the air was afraid of him. And a she-wolf, that with all hungerings seemed to be laden in her meagerness, and many folk have cause to live forlorn. She brought upon me with so much heaviness, with the affright that from her aspect came, that I, the hope, relinquished of the height, and as he who willingly acquires, and the time comes that causes him to lose, who weeps in all his thoughts and is despondent. Even such made me that beast withouten peace, which, coming on against me by degrees, thrust me back thither, where the sun is silent. While I was rushing downward to the lowland, before my eyes did one present himself, who seemed, from long continued silence, hoarse. When I beheld him in the desert vast, have pity on me, unto him I called, whither thou art, or shade, or real man? He answered me, not man. Man once I was, and both my parents were of Lombardy, and Mantuans, by country, both of them. Sub Julio was I born, though it was late, and lived at Rome, under the good Augustus, during the time of false and lying gods. As poet was I, and I sang that just son of Anchises, who came forth from Troy, after that Ilion the suburb was burned. Superb. But thou, why goest thou back to such annoyance? Why climbest thou not the mount delectable, which is the source and cause of every joy? Now art thou that Virgilius and that fountain, which spreads abroad so wide a river of speech. I made the response to him with bashful forehead. O, of the other poets' honor and light, avail me the long study and great love that have impelled me to explore thy volume. Thou art master, and my author thou art alone, the one from whom I took the beautiful style that has done honor to me. Behold the beast for which I have turned back. Do thou protect me from her, famous sage, for she doth make my veins and pulses tremble. Thee it behooves to take another road, he responded, when he beheld me weeping, if from this savage place thou wouldst escape. Because this beast, at which thou criest out, suffers not any one to pass her way, but so doth harass him that she destroys him, and has a nature so malign and ruthless that never doth she glut her greedy will, and after food is hungrier than before. That's good. Many the animals with whom she weds, and more they shall be still, until the greyhound comes, who shall make her perish in her pain. He shall not feed on either earth nor pelf, but upon wisdom and on love and virtue. Twixt Feltro and Feltro shall his nation be. Of that low Italy shall he be the savior, on whose account the maid Camilla died, Euryalus, Turnus, Nissus, of their wounds. Through every city shall he hunt her down, until he shall have driven her back to hell, there from whence envy first did her loose. Therefore I think and judge it for thy best. Thou follow me, and I will be thy guide, and lead thee hence through the eternal place, where thou shalt hear the desperate lamentations, shalt see the ancient spirits of disconsolate, who cry out each one for the second death, and thou shalt see those who contented are within the fire, because they hope to come, wherever it may be, to the blessed people, to whom then, if thou wish to ascend, a soul shall be, for that than I more worthy. With her at my departure I will leave thee. Because that emperor, who reigns above, in that I was rebellious to his law, wills that through me none come into his city. He governs everywhere, and there he reigns. There is his city, and his lofty throne. O happy he whom thereto he elects. And I to him, poet, thee entreat, by that same God whom thou didst never know, so that I may escape this woe and worse, thou wouldst conduct me there, where thou hast said, that I may see the portal of St. Peter, and those thou makest so disconsolate. Then he moved on, and behind him I followed. Inferno, Canto 2. Okay, Inferno, Canto 2. Day was departing, and the embrowned air released the animals that are on earth from their fatigues, and I, the only one, made myself ready to sustain the war, both of the ways of the likewise and of the woe, which memory still errs now, not shall retrace. O muses, O high genius, now assist me. O memory, that didst write down what I saw, here thy nobility shall be manifest. And I began. Poet, who guidest me, regard my manhood, if it be sufficient, ere to the arduous pass thou dost confide me. Thou sayest that of Silvius the parent, while yet corruptible, unto the world immortal went, and there and was there bodily. But if the adversary of all evil was courteous, thinking of the high effect that issue would from him, and who, and what, to men of intellect unmeet it seems not, for he was of great Rome, and of her empire, in the empyreal heaven as father chosen. The which and what, wishing to speak the truth, were established as the holy place, wherein sits the successor of the greatest Peter. Upon this journey, whence thou givest him vaunt, things did he hear with which the occasion were, both of his victory and the papal mantle. Thither went afterwards to the chosen vessel, to bring back comfort thence unto that faith, which of salvation's way is the beginning. But I, why thither come, or who concedes it? I not Aeneas am, I am not Paul, nor I, nor others think me worthy of it. Therefore, if I resign myself to come, I fear that the coming may be ill-advised. Thou art wise, and knowest better than I speak. And as he is, who unwills what he willed, and by new thoughts doth his intention change, so that from his design he quite withdraws. Such I became upon that dark hillside, because, in thinking, I consumed the emprise which was so very prompt in the beginning. If I have well thy language understood, replied that shade of the magnanimous, thy soul is attainted with cowardice, which many times a man encumbers, so it turns him back from honored enterprise, as false sight doth the beast when he is shy. That thou mayst fear thee from this apprehension, I'll tell thee why I came and what I heard, at the first moment when I grieved for thee. Among those was I who are in suspense, and a fair saintly lady called to me. In such wise I besought her to command me. Her eyes were shining brighter than the star, and she began to say, gentle and low, with voice angelical in her own language, O spirit courteous of Mentuda, from whom the fame still in the world endures, and shall endure long-lasting as the world. A friend of mine, and not the friend of fortune, upon the desert slope is so impeded upon his way that he has turned through terror, and may, I fear, already be so lost that I too late have risen to his succor. From that which I have heard of him in heaven, bestir thee now, and with thy speech ornate, and with what needful is for his release, assist him so that I may be consoled. Beatrice am I, who do bid thee go. I come from there, where I would fain return. Love moved me, which compelleth me to speak. When I shall be in presence of my Lord, full often will I praise thee unto him. Then paused she, and thereafter I began, O Lady of Virtue, thou alone through whom the human race exceedeth all, contained within the heaven that has the lesser circles. So grateful unto me is thy commandment, to obey if 'twere already done, or late, no farther needst thou ope to me thy wish. But the cause tell me why thou dost not shun the here descending down into this center, from the vast place thou burnest to return to. Since thou wouldst fain so inwardly discern, briefly will I relate, she answered me, why am I not afraid to enter here? Of those things only should one be afraid, which have the power of doing others harm. Of the rest, no, because they are not fearful. God in his mercy such created me, that misery of yours attains me not, nor any flame assails me of this burning. A gentle lady is in heaven, who grieves at this impediment to which I send thee, so that stern judgment there above is broken. In her entreaty she besought Lucia, and said, Thy faithful one now stands in need of thee, and unto thee I recommend him. Lucia, foe of all that is cruel, is hastened away, and came unto the place where I was sitting with the ancient Rachel. Beatrice, said she, is the true praise of God. Why succourest thou not him who loved thee so? For thee he issued from the vulgar herd. Dost thou not hear the pity of his plaint? Dost thou not see the death that combats him beside that flood where no ocean has no vaunt? Never were persons in the world so swift to work their wheel and escape their foe, as I, after such words as these were uttered, came hither downward from my blessed seat, confiding in thy dignified discourse, which honors thee and those who've listened to it. After she thus had spoken unto me, weeping, her shining eyes she turned away, whereby she made me swifter in my coming. And unto thee I came, as she desired. I have delivered thee from that wild beast, which barred the beautiful mountain's short ascent. What is it then? Why dost thou delay? Why is such baseness bedded in thy heart, daring and hardihood? Why hast thou not? Seeing that 3 such ladies, benedict, are caring for thee in the court of heaven, and so much good my speech doth promise thee. Even as the flowerets, by nocturnal chill, bowed down and closed, where the sun whitens them, uplift themselves all open on their stems. Such as I became with my exhausted strength, and such good courage to my heart there coursed, that I began, like an intrepid person, O she compassionate, who succored me, and courteous thou, who hast obeyed so soon the words of truth which she has addressed to thee. Thou hast my heart with so desire disposed to the adventure with these words of thine, that to my first intent I have returned. Now go, for one sole will is in us both, thou leader, and thou Lord and Master thou. Thus I said to him, and when he had moved, I entered on the deep and savage way. Inferno, Canto 3. Through me, the way is to the city dolent. Through me, the way is to eternal dole. Through me, the way among the people lost. Justice incited my sublime Creator, created me divine omnipotence, the highest wisdom in the primal love. Before me, there were no created things, only etern, and I eternal last. All hope abandon ye who enter in. These words in somber color I beheld, written upon the summit of the gate, whence their sense is, master, hard to me. And he to me as one experienced. Here all suspicion needs to be abandoned, all cowardice needs to be here extinct. We to the place have come where I have told thee, thou shalt behold the people dolorous, who have foregone the good of intellect. And after he had laid his hand on mine, with joyful mind, whence I was comforted, he led me in among the secret things, where their sighs, complaints, and ululations loud resounded through the air without a star, whence I at the beginning wept thereat. Languages diverse, horrible dialects, accents of anger, words of agony, and voices high and hoarse, with sounds of hands, made up a tumult that goes whirling on, forever in that air, forever black, even as sand doth, when the whirlwind breathes. And I, who had my head with horror bound, said, Master, what is this which now I hear? What folk is this, which seems by pain so vanquished? And he to me, This miserable mode maintained the melancholy soul of those who have lived without infamy or praise. Commingled are they with that caitiff choir of angels, who have not rebellious been, nor faithful were to God, but were for self. The heavens expelled them, not to be less fair, nor them the nethermore abyss receives, for glory none the damned would have from them. And I, O Master, what so grievous is to thee that maketh them lament so sore? He answered, I will tell thee very briefly. These no longer have any hope of death, and this blind life of theirs is so debased they are envious of every other fate. No fame of them the world permits to be. Misericord and justice both disdain them. Let us not speak of them, but look and pass. And I, who looked again, beheld a banner, which, whirling around, ran on so rapidly that of all pause it seemed to me indignant. And after it there came so long a train of people that I never would have believed that ever death had so many been undone. When some among them I had recognized, I looked, and I beheld the shade of him who made through cowardice the great refusal. Forthwith I had comprehended, and was certain, that this was the sect of the caitiff wretches, hateful to God and his enemies. These miscreants, who never were alive, were naked, and were stung exceedingly by gadflies and hornets that were there. These did their faces irrigate with blood, which, with their tears commingled, at their feet by the disgusting worms was gathered up. And when to gazing farther I betook me, people I saw on the great river's bank, whence said I, Master, now vouchsafe to me, that I may know who these are, and what law makes them appear so ready to pass over as I discern athwart the dusky light. And he to me, these things shall all be known to thee, as soon as we our footsteps stay upon the dismal shore of Icheron. Then with mine eyes ashamed and downward cast, fearing my words might irksome be to him, from speech refrained I till we reached the river, and lo, towards us coming in a boat, an old man, hoary with hair of eld, crying, Woe unto you, ye souls depraved! Hope never more to look upon the heavens. I come to lead you to the other shore, to the eternal shades and heat and frost. And thou, that yonder standeth, living soul, withdraw thee from these people who are dead. But when he saw that I did not withdraw, he said, By other ways, by other ports, thou to the shore shalt come, not here for passage. A lighter vessel needs to carry thee, and unto him the guide. Vex thee not, Charon. It is so willed that there where is power to do that which is willed, and farther question not. Thereat were quieted by the fleecy cheeks of him the ferryman of the livid fen, who round about his eyes had wheels of flame. But all those souls who were weary and naked, their color changed and gnashed their teeth together. As soon as they had heard those cruel words, God they blasphemed, and their progenitors, the human race, the place, the time, the seed of their engendering and their birth. Thereafter, all together they drew back, bitterly weeping, to the accursed shore, which waiteth every man who fears not God. Charon the demon, with the eyes of Gelb, with Glade, eyes of Gled, beckoning to them, collects them all together, beats with his oar whoever lags behind. As in the autumn time, the leaves fall off, first one and then another, until the branch unto the earth surrenders all its spoils. In similar wise, the evil seed of Adam throw themselves from that margin one by one at signals, as a bird unto its lure. So they depart across the dusky wave, and ere upon the other side they land again. On this side a new troop assembles, My son, the courteous master said to me, all those who perish in the wrath of God here meet together out of every land, and ready are they to pass over the river because celestial justice spurs them on, so that their fear is turned into desire. This way there never passes a good soul, and hence if Charon doth complain of thee, well mayst thou know now what his speech imports. This being finished, all the dusk champagne trembled so violently that the terror, the recollection, bathes me still with sweat. The land of tears gave forth a blast of wind and fulminated a vermilion light, which overmastered in me every sense. And as a man whom sleep hath seized, I fell. Inferno, Canto 4. Broke the deep lethargy within my head, a heavy thunder, so that I upstarted, like to a person who by force is wakened. And round about I moved, my rested eyes uprisen erect, and steadfastly I gazed, to recognize the place wherein I was. True is it that upon the verge I found me of the abysmal valley dolorous, that gathers thunder of infinite ululations. Obscure, profound it was, and nebulous, so that by fixing on its depths my sight, nothing whatever I discerned therein. Let us descend now into the blind work, began the poet, pallid utterly. I will be the first, and thou shalt second be. And I, who of his colour was aware, said, how shall I come, if thou art afraid, who art wont to be a comfort to my fears? And he to me, the anguish of the people who are below here in my face depicts that pity from which terror thou hast taken. Let us go on, for the long way impels us. Thus he went in, and thus he made me enter the foremost circle that surrounds the abyss. There, as it seemed to me from listening, were lamentations none, but only sighs, that tremble made the everlasting air. And this arose from sorrow without torment, which the crowds had, that many were, and great, of infants, and of women, and of men. To me the master good. Thou dost not ask what spirits these which thou beholdest are? Now will I have thee know, ere thou go farther, that they sinned not, and if they merit had, 'tis not enough, because they had not baptism, which is the portal of faith thou holdest. And if they were before Christianity in the right manner, they adored not God, and among such as thee I myself. For such defects, and not for other guilt, lost are we, and are only so far punished that without hope we live on in desire. Great grief seized on to my heart when this I heard, because some people of much worthiness I knew, who in that limbo were suspended. Tell me, my master, tell me, thou my lord, began I, with desire of being certain of that faith which overcometh every error. Came any one by his own merit hence, or by another's who was blessed thereafter? And he who understoodeth my covert speech replied, I was a novice in the state, when I saw hither come a mighty one, with sign of victory incoronate. Hence he drew forth the shade of the first parent, and that of his son Abel, and of Noah, of Moses the lawgiver and the obedient, Abraham patriarch, and David king, Israel with his father and his children, and Rachel, for whose sake he did so much, and others many, and he made them blessed. And thou must know that earlier than these never were any human spirits saved. He ceased not to advance because he spake, but still were passing onward through the forest, say I, of thick crowded ghosts. Not very far, as yet our way had gone, this side the summit, where I saw a fire that overcame a hemisphere of darkness. We were a little distant from it, still, but not so far that I in part discerned not that honorable people held its place. Thou, O thou, who honorest every art and science, who may these be, which such great honor have, that from the fashion of the rest it parts them. And he to me, the honorable name that sounds of them above there in thy life, wins grace in heaven, that so advances them. In the meantime, a voice was heard by me. All honor be to the preeminent poet. His shade returns again that was departed. After the voice had ceased in quiet, 4 mighty shades I saw approaching us. Semblance had they, nor sorrowful nor glad, to say to me, my gracious master, him with that falchion in his hand, behold, comes before thee, even as their lord. That one is Homer, poet sovereign. He who comes next is Horace, the satirist. The third is Ovid, and the last is Lucan, because to each of these with me applies the name that solitary voice proclaimed. They do me honor, and in that do well. Thus I beheld assemble the fair school of that lord of the song preeminent, who over the others like an eagle soars. When they together had discoursed somewhat, they turned to me with signs of salutation, and on beholding this my master smiled. And more of honor still, much more they did with me, in that they made me one of their own band, so that the 6th was I mid so much wit. Thus we went on as far as to the light, things saying 'tis becoming to keep silent, as was the saying of them where I was. We came unto a noble castle's foot, 7 times encompassed with lofty walls, defended round by a fair rivulet. This we passed over, even as firm ground. Through portals 7 I entered with these sages. We came into a meadow of fresh verdure. Verdure. Looks like Spanish for peace. People, I think, that might be grapes. I should not have said that. I don't speak Spanish. Excuse me. People were there with solemn eyes and slow, of great authority in their countenance. They spake but seldom, wit with gentle voices. Thus we withdrew ourselves upon one side into an opening luminous and lofty, so that all of them were visible. There, opposite, upon the green enamel, were pointed out to me the mighty spirits, whom too have seen I myself exalted. I saw Electra with companions many, amongst whom I knew both Hector and Aeneas. Caesar, in armor with gerfalcon eyes. I saw Camilla and Penthesilea the other side, and saw the king Latinus, who with Lavinia, his daughter, sat. I saw that Brutus, who drove Tarquin forth, Lucretia, Julia, Marcia, and Cornelia, and saw alone, apart, the Saladin. When I had lifted up my brows a little, the master I beheld of those who know sit with his philosophic family. I'll gaze upon him, and I'll do him honor. There I beheld both Socrates and Plato, who near him before the others stand. Democritus, who puts the world on chance, Diogenes, Anaxagoras, and Thales, Zeno, and Heraclitus. Of qualities I saw the good collector, high discord, and Orpheus saw I, Tully and Livy, and the moral Seneca, Euclid, geometrician, and Ptolemy, Galen, Hippocrates, and Avicenna, Averroes, who the great comment made. I cannot all of them portray in full, because so drives me onward the long theme that many times the world comes short of fact. The sixfold company in 2 divides, another was my sapient guide, conducts me forth from the quiet to the air that trembles, and to a place I come where nothing shines. Inferno 5 is coming up. Canto 5. It's a 16.9 ounce beer. So I was able to get 2 whole mugs out of it, which is good, but dangerous. Okay. Inferno 5. Inferno Canto 5. I should stop doing that. Thus I descended out of the first circle down to the second, that less space begirds, and so much greater dole that goads to wailing. There standeth Minos horribly and snarls, examines the transgressions at the entrance, judges, and sends according as he girds them. I say, that when the spirit evil-born cometh before him, wholly it confesses, and this discriminator of transgressions seeth what place is hell, is meet for it, girds himself with his tail as many times as grades he wishes it should be thrust down. Always before him many of them stand. They go by turns, each one unto judgment. They speak and hear, and then are downward hurled. O thou, that to this dolorous hosterly comest, said Minos to me when he saw me, leaving the practice of so great an office. Look how thou enterest, and in whom thou trustest. Not let the portal's amplitude deceive thee, and unto him my guide, why criest thou so? Do not impede his journey. Fate ordained, it is so willed, there where is a power to do that which is willed, and ask no further question. And now began the dulcet notes to grow, audible unto me, now am I come, there where much lamentation strikes upon thee. I came into a place mute of all light, which bellows as the sea does in a tempest, if by opposing winds is combated. The infernal hurricane that never rests, hurtles the spirits onwards in its rapine, whirling them round and smiting, it molests them. Where they arrive before the precipice, there are the shrieks, the plaints, and the laments. There are blasphemy and the puissance divine. I understood that unto such a torment the carnal malefactors were condemned, who reasoned subjugate to appetite. And as the wings of starlings bear them on, in the cold season, in large band and full, so doth that blast the spirits maledict. It hither, thither, downward, upward drives them. No hope doth comfort them, evermore, not of repose, but even of lesser pain. As the cranes go chanting forth their lays, making in air a long line of themselves, so saw I coming, uttering lamentations, shadows borne onward by the aforesaid stress. Whereupon said I, Master, who are those people, who the black air so castigates? The first of those of whom intelligence thou fain wouldst have. Then said he unto me, the Empress was of many languages. To sensual vices she was so abandoned, that lustful she made illicit in her law, to remove the blame to which she had been led. She is Semiramis, of whom we read that she succeeded Ninus, and was the spouse. She is the land which now the Sultan rules. The next is she who killed herself for love, and broke faith with the ashes of Cicerus, then Cleopatra the voluptuous. Helen I saw, for whom so many ruthless seasons revolved, and saw the great Achilles, who at the last hour combated with love. Paris I saw, Tristan, and more than 1,000 shades did he name and point out with his finger, whom love had separated from my life. After I had listened to my teacher, naming the dames of Eldon cavaliers, pity prevailed, and I was nigh bewildered. And I began, O poet, willingly speak would I to those two, who go together and seem upon the wind to be so light, and he to me, thou'lt mark, when they shall be nearer to us, and then do thou implore them, by love which leadeth them, and they will come. As soon as the wind in our direction sways them, my voice uplift I, O ye weary souls, come speak to us if no one interdicts it. As turtle doves, called onward by desire with open and steady wings to the sweet nest, fly through the air their volition born, so came they from the band where Dido is, approaching us athwart the air malign. So strong was the affectionate appeal. O living creature gracious and benignant, who visiting goes through the purple air, us who have stained the world incarnadine. If were the King of universe our friend, we would pray unto him to give thee peace, since thou hast pity on our woe perverse. Of what it pleases thee to hear and speak, that will we hear, and we will speak to you, while silent is the wind, as it is now. Sitteth the city wherein I was born, upon the seashore where the Po descends, to rest in peace with all his retinue. Love on that gentle heart doth swiftly seize this man for the person beautiful that was taken from me, and still the mote offends me. Love that exempts no one from beloved from loving, seized me with pleasure of this man so strongly that, as thou seest, it doth not yet that desert me. I almost said desert. Love has conducted us unto one death, Cana with him who quenched our life. These words were borne along from them to us. As soon as I had heard those souls tormented, I bowed my face, and so long held it down until the poet said to me, What thinkest? When I made answer, I began, Alas, how many pleasant thoughts, how much desire conducted these unto dolorous pass. Then unto them I turned me, and I spake, and I began, Thine agonies, Francesca, sad and compassionate, to weeping make me. But tell me, at the time of those sweet sighs, by what and in what manner love conceded that you should know your dubious desires? And she to me, There is no greater sorrow than to be mindful of the happy time and misery, and that thy teacher knows. But if to recognize the earliest root of love in us thou hast so great desire, I will do even as he who weeps and speaks. One day we were reading for our delight of Lancelot, how love did him enthrall. Alone we were, and without any fear. Full many a time our eyes together drew that reading, and drove the color from our faces. But one point only was it that overcame us. When, as we read of the much longed for smile, being by such a noble lover kissed, this one who never from me shall be divided, kissed me upon the mouth, all palpitating. Galeotto was the book, and he who wrote it. That day no farther did we read therein. And all the while, one spirit uttered this, the other one did weep so, that for pity I swooned away, as if I had been dying, and fell even as a dead body falls. Next up is Canto 6. Okay. Canto 6. At the return of consciousness that closed before, the pity of those two relations, which utterly with sadness had confused me. New torments I behold, and new tormented around me, whichsoever way I moved, and whichsoever way I turned and gazed. In the third circle am I of the rain, eternal, maledict, and cold, and heavy. Its law and quality are never new. Huge hail and water somber-hued, and snow athwart the tenebrous air pour down amain. Noisome the earth is that receiveth this. Cerberus, monster cruel and uncouth, excuse me, with 3 gults like dog, is barking over the people that are submerged. Red eyes he has, an unctuous beard, and black and belly large, and armed with claws his hands. He rends the spirits, flays and quarters them. Howl, the rain maketh them like unto dogs. One side they make a shelter for the other, oft turn themselves, the wretched reprobates. When Cerberus is perceived us, the great worm, with his mouths he opened, and displayed his tusks. Not a limb that he had that was motionless. And my conductor, with his spans extended, took of the earth, and with his fists well filled, he threw it into those rapacious gullets, such as that dog is, who by barking craves, and quiet grows he soon as his food he gnaws, for to devour it he but thinks and struggles. The like became of those muzzles, filth begrimed of Cerberus the demon, who so thunders over the souls that they would fain be deaf. We passed across the shadows which subdues the heavy rainstorm, and we placed our feet upon their vanity that person seems. They were all lying prone upon the earth, excepting one who sat upright as soon as he beheld us passing on before him. O thou that art conducted through this hell, he said to me, recall me, if thou canst. Thou wast made before I was unmade. And I to him, the anguish which thou hast perhaps doth draw thee out of my remembrance, so that it seems not I have ever seen thee. But tell me who thou art, that in so doleful a place art put, and in such punishment, if some are greater, none is so displeasing. And he to me, thy city, which is full of envy, so that now the sack runs me over. Oh, sack runs over. Held me within it, life serene. You citizens were wont to call me Xiasho, for the pernicious sin of gluttony. I, as thou seest, am battered by this rain, and I, sad soul, am not the only one, for all these suffer the like penalty for the like sin. And word no more spake he. I answered him, Xiasho, the wretchedness weighs on me, so that it to weep invites me. But tell me, if thou knowest, to what shall come. The citizens of the divided city, if there be just, and the occasion, tell me why so much discord has assailed it. And he to me, they, after long contention, will come to bloodshed, and the rustic party will drive the other out with much offense. Then afterwards behooves it this one fall within 3 suns, and rise again the other by the force of him who now is on the coast. High will it hold its forehead a long while, keeping the other under heavy burdens. However, it weeps thereat and is indignant. There are the just are 2, and are not understood. Their envy and arrogance and avarice are 3 sparks that have all hearts enkindled. Here ended his tearful utterance, and I to him, I wish thee still to teach me, and make a gift to me of further speech. Farinata and Tagahio, once so worthy, Jacopo Rusticucci, Arrigo and Morsca, and others who on good deeds set their thoughts. Say where they are, and cause I may know them. For great desire constraineth me to learn if heaven doth sweeten them, or hell envenom. And they are among the blacker souls. A different sin downweighs them to the bottom. If thou so far descendeth, thou canst see them. But when thou art again in the sweet world, I pray thee to the mind of others bring me. No more I tell thee, and no more I answer. Then his straightforward eyes he turned askance, eyed me a little, and then bowed his head. He fell therewith prone like the other blind. And guide said to me, he wakes no more this side of the sound of angelic trumpet, when shall approach the hostile potentate. Each one shall find again his dismal tomb, shall reassume his flesh and his own figure, shall hear what through eternity re-echoes. So we passed onward over the filthy mixture of shadows and of rain, with footsteps slow, touching a little on the future life. Wherefore I said, Master, these torments here, will they increase after the mighty sentence, or lesser be, or will they be as burning? And he said to me, return unto thy science, which wills that the thing more perfect is, the more it feels of pleasure and pain, albeit that this people maledict to true perfection can never attain, hereafter more than now they look to be. Round in a circle by that road we went, speaking much more, which I do not repeat. We came unto the point where the descent is. There we found Plutus, the great enemy. That coming up next would be Canto 7. But I think we'll probably stop there for today. Amandine did request also some Jack London and another one which I can't remember off the top of my head right now, unfortunately. And I do have the complete works of Jack London, so I was considering going back and reading some more for Amandine. I have one or two other requests to do, and then after that I kind of am open again, so I can always go back and read some Jack London. I do have another Haruki Murakami story that I would love to read, and it's going to be portion of the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. I just can't decide which part is my favorite, which is not a bad thing to have, of course. So after the next 4 weeks, I'm totally open again on requests. So if you have a request, please sound off in the comments. I think the next one is going to be the picture of Dorian Gray, and then then I'll be open on requests again. So if you have a request, just let me know. I'll do my best to get it. If it's a classic, I can get it really easily. If it is a new book, I'm also open to buying them. It has to be something that I'm interested in. If it's like a brand new book, it's going to cost me $15 to get. Otherwise, I can get books used for like $6, and that's not bad at all, honestly. So thanks for watching. I've been really happy with how this has been going so far. It seems like a lot of people really like reading, which I guess in my daily life I haven't really encountered very many people who love to read, and that's a little disheartening, because I think reading is very important, especially for children. I think children should be reading all the time. I grew up reading everything. That's what I used to do, is just sit in my room and read as a small child, and I think it's important. So thanks. I've been having a really good time with this, and I hope you are too. I know today's reading might not have been everybody's cup of tea, and that's going to happen, of course, and I would just encourage you all to request something, because you never know. Alright, well, thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye.